Hi students, welcome back, and this is the last in the series for lesson planning. I'm going to show you how to fill out the template for direct instruction, and while this one is something very specific, it'll also be the foundation for all these other templates that are here. So let's go ahead and look at this. This template for direct instruction and for any instruction in the procedure section of the lesson plan gives you the opportunity to um, narrate whatever it is you're teaching. Now, this is really important because in as you continue through the program, you're going to have to be able to demonstrate what you're doing through a process of narrating your work. So let me just take this off here. I just want okay. So as you look at this, it says direct instruction. Please respond to the following procedure prompts. Then copy and paste your response directly into the procedure section. So now I am in a Word document. This Word document gives me prompts as to how I want to fill in the components and the elements of a sound lesson plan that has a logical sequence and is designed to be effective for the teaching and learning processes that are going to take place in class. So here each lesson has an open, something to get the kids started, to begin to pique their interest, to get them ready for whatever the learning has to be. In this open, there are these three pieces. One is called the anticipatory set, or the into, the getting ready for learning. Then there's the objective for this anticipatory set. What is this supposed to do? How is this going to be helping the students get ready for learning? So then you put down the purpose. So if we're going to be looking at doing mapping and looking at landforms, perhaps I show the students a series of pictures and I just say the students will be looking at a series of pictures, one that's water, one that's a mountain, one that's a desert, one that's a lake, and one that's an ocean, and one that's a plain. So I show these pictures to the students and I say to the students, I want you to tell me what you think each one of these is. Or I'll say, I want you to tell me how one picture is different from the other. So my objective is to get students to begin to look at the differences in the pictures, to look and notice that there are differences in landforms, and then finally the purpose is to get them to understand, or for me to see how much they know about different landforms. Are some of them familiar with the vocabulary of these landforms? If students are able to identify the differences between a mountain and a hill, a valley and a lake, an ocean and a river, those kinds of things. That's the purpose of this. So once I've done that, and I have to narrate this, I ask the students blank, and the students will say back to me, or hopefully they will say X, Y, Z. The next thing is in the body. Again, you have these same kinds of things. The first is the input. This is usually the teacher modeling the skill, the thinking skill that the students are going to be learning. You have to show them, don't assume they know. You have to show them what it is they're supposed to be doing and how they need to begin to cultivate that particular thinking skill in order to make them apply it in a variety of circumstances and contexts. Then, how are you going to know that they know? What's going to be your check for understanding? So you model something. How are you going to know that they got it? Are you just going to say, did everybody understand? Or are you going to ask them to do something? Usually, you'll begin to ask them to do something, which is called guided practice. You have to describe what that's going to look like. And then finally, how are you going to close the lesson? Are you going to have them repeat something? Are they going to pair share with a partner? Are they going to write something down? Are you going to give them a tell me what you thought was the most important thing you learned today type question? And then independent practice. Independent practice can be homework. Independent practice can be a worksheet that they have to do before they leave the class. Independent practice, however, for a lesson is not what's going to happen on Friday when they take the spelling test. That is not evidence to show if the lesson you taught today was mastered by the students today. And that's what this is about when you close a lesson. And then finally, after you've taught the lesson, you're going to go into a section called reflection. So I'm going to show you what that looks like because I have some student work here. Here is the instructional procedures. And as you'll see, her anticipatory set, she says, I will gain the student's focus with a display. This is on the Dr. Seuss books. On Dr. Seuss books and visuals, on the overhead of his most well-known characters, I will leave up the image for Dr. Seuss, and we'll discuss them in class. I will jot down student volunteer ideas, and I will have a handout that will be distributed. Why am I doing this? Well, the objective is so that, as previously stated in the content objective, by the end of the lesson, the students will be able to demonstrate understanding of a sequential order for completing a sequence chart. And I'm going to show you this because I'm going to make sure you have this available to you students so that you can use this as a reference. This student also went into the reading, writing, listening, and speaking things that are going to be necessary in your lessons as you get into ELD. But I just want you to show the completeness of this particular section of, this is her into. She hasn't even started teaching the overall lesson yet. And then she talks about what the purpose is. And the purpose of this is to provide an exposure to different writing styles. This time the form will be biography. So this lesson right here is continuing in a series of lessons, but this one will be on biographies. Now she's getting into the body of the lesson. As you can see in the body of the lesson, she has the input. And the input, there will be a biography of Dr. Seuss. They're going to discuss this. The students will define the vocabulary. There's going to be time for clarification. Next, she's going to check for understanding. What is a biography? How does a biography work for Dr. Seuss? Then there's going to be guided practice. After reading, the students will be doing this. And then this is how she's going to close the lesson. I will have the students collect their handouts. They're going to use the laptop and so on. Then she has independent practice. The students will have the opportunity to work on a sequential order and chronological order of as part of English language arts. She also has them do more on Dr. Seuss. Now, this is one way to write up the body. This is acceptable. What is missing here is that there's not enough detail of what the students will actually be doing at their desks. So I'm going to, in the live binder section, I'm going to upload other models of lesson plans for you to look at. But I liked this one because it's using the lesson plan template that you're also using. So I'm going to go now up to the top here because I want you to see how she's filled this whole thing out. And even though it doesn't say Cal State Teach, this is the way I get the lesson planning when you share it with me. So she has her class. She talks about the students in her class. Then she talks about the students that have special diagnoses, meaning IEPs or ADHD or 504. Then she talks about students that have not have a diagnosis but exhibit particular behaviors that can cause them to need special attention in the classroom. Then she gets into behavior issues in general and the impact of their learning, how relevant these issues are to their learning. She talks about students that are language learners and what their speaking levels are and what they speak at home. And then she deals with other factors about the children that may have an impact on their ability to access the information in the class. And then she talks about reading levels. This is the section on who she's teaching. I know she knows who she's teaching. And now I can tell from the lesson plans that are made here whether or not she's keeping that in mind when she does her actual lesson planning. So again, we get into what the concepts are, the academic content standards, the objectives, and so on. This is going to be online for you, but I wanted you to see those two parts because it's really important that you have a model of how to go about writing the narrative and how to go about filling in the student, who you're teaching in respect to the students. The last part of this, before I leave, is the reflection. And after you have taught a lesson, sometimes you will have a chance to teach the lessons that are in the LPA. It's important for you to write up how did the lesson go? Were there any aha moments? Were there any surprises? Did you time it right? Did you anticipate certain things? Did the students get what you wanted? Did you go too fast? Was it too slow? Had you not thought about something? It's okay if it wasn't perfect. You're learning to teach. And it's through being a reflective teacher that you will become better at teaching. So I really want you to take some time, fill out your reflection on the lesson, go ahead and save it. Once you have done that, then your lesson is ready, you've completed it, and now you're ready to move forward as a teacher and an educator. So I know this is a lot, but I will continue to work with you on this, and I will have examples in the live binder it for you to look at as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.